To start the session on the Future of Work Working Group, I would like to invite Lucia to take over for the rest of the session. Lucia?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you all for being here with us today to start this session on our working group, on the work of our working group about the future of work. My name is Lucia Velasco. I am the co-chair of the working group. And you are... Who are you?
I'm Matthias Peisner. I'm also co-chair of the working group together with Lucia. Maybe a brief overview of what we do in the working group, because we've been together in that team since the start of GPAI, and the mission of our group is to research into the future of work, how AI will change the labor market, how AI will change job profiles, and what we can do about in order to make it a good future of work. And we're having quite a couple of projects, and we will present some of them today. So the outline of today is that we will have a very informal discussion together with Lucia and me, and together with some leads of the projects, and we will sneak into what we are planning for the next year, and we will encourage you to really participate actively in the session. We are curious about your comments, about your questions, and hope to connect with all of you, or at least with those who are interested, during the session and afterwards.
And moreover, we understand that we're the only thing between now and dinner, so we would like to make this very dynamic and very participated.
And hopefully very easy. So, Lucia, you have been started as a co-chair only recently, and you will take over together with Alex Xi from Canada for 2024. What are your plans together with Alex? How do you want to advance the working group?
Well, I think that one of the most important aspects of this working group is that we're talking about something that's really fundamental for society, that is work, is how we build our lives, or what gives us the means to live our lives. So it's really important that we understand the changes that the labor market is going through. And we can only do that if we understand better what's happening with generative AI. That is one of the main events happening in our societies since last year. So we will be looking closely at generative AI today. Some of the leads of the project will be explaining and sharing what we will be doing in this space, and also we will be looking at training, retraining, reskilling, upskilling of workers. That is another major topic. We would like to cover different countries, different geographies, and I believe that that will be the main focus. What do you think?
Yeah, maybe also in terms of outreach, because last year we really felt a strong motivation to not only have discussions within the group, but also to reach out and to the broader public, not only to our members, but also beyond. And I think this is something that we want to...
Yeah, because it's true, you've been a co-chair like forever in this working group. It's almost, or more than 3 years. Do you see a change in what people expect from us, or what also the participants want to contribute with?
I think there's has been a great change during this year, and I think part of it came also from the innovation workshop we had in Montreal, when we had a face-to-face meeting, and shortly before that Janine's paper was published, and we said, okay, let's reach out with that paper and not only do analysis about how AI will change the future of work, but also try to shape it by providing guidelines for policymakers. And I think this really started something like a very intense engagement in the group, and I think it will be key to really sustain that engagement.
It has to do also, and today in this meeting we have the the luck to listen to policymakers and government representatives, and one of the things that we were listening today was that they really need us to contribute with policy briefs and with materials that guide the governmental action in this space. So to me, this should be one of the main goals to achieve over the next year, to really come up with perhaps shorter outcomes, but more targeted.
Yeah, and I think for this big goal, we also need the ongoing support from our Center of Expertise in RIA in Paris. And this is connected with a big thank you to Edouard and his colleagues. And Caitlin, why don't you come up and just present the Center of Expertise in Paris?
Yeah, nothing of the things that we do could be done without your support and your help. So please tell us about it.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you so much to both of the co-chairs, Matthias, who I've had the pleasure of working with for 3 years now, which is really incredible to say. Doesn't feel like 3 years. And Lucia, who I've had the opportunity to get to know better over the past year. So as the Paris Expert Support Center, hosted by INRIA, the French National Institute for Research in Digital Science and Technology, I'm one of the project managers dedicated to GPAI, alongside of my hardworking colleague Edward Havis, who I'm sure many of you, and especially in the Future of Work working group, have had the pleasure of working with quite a lot.
We do, and we appreciate him a lot.
Yes, big thank you to Edward for all of his work. As the Paris Expert Support Center, we manage both the Future of Work working group as well as the Innovation and Commercialization working group that I principally work on. Every working group is very different. However, I think there's something interesting about both the Future of Work working group and the Innovation and Commercialization working group. I think they're both more industry focused than the other two, so we really align there. And we also work on creating hard outputs, not just reports, but actionable items to really affect the workforce and the industry at large. As part of the AI mission team, we support the French National Coordination on AI at INRIA, and as the Expert Support Center, our other sort of axis, we work to support the projects. That means the life cycle of constructing the partnerships, coordinating various workshops, and overall enhancing the deliverables and the impact of the deliverables that you, as the experts in the working groups, are creating. So, yeah.
That's a very to the point presentation. Thank you so much for this explanation.
Thank you both, and we look forward to hearing more about the projects here today.
Thank you for sharing with us. And moving on, we will be talking about one of the main projects that we have been doing actually for the past year as well.
From the very beginning.
From the very beginning, indeed. And we have, it's been now called, well, you will see in the screen behind us part of the leads, the range from Mexico to Japan, so we're really international. And we have with us, we will start introducing our speakers and then asking them some questions. We have with us today Senator Lagunes. Alejandra Lagunes is serving as a senator in Mexico. She leads public policy development in areas such as sustainability, human rights, innovation, digital inclusion, and the medicinal use of natural psychedelics. She's an expert in political communication and has played key roles in various political campaigns, while also actively contributing to committees and alliances focused on digital rights, AI, and strengthening the open parliament. Thank you so much for joining us today, Alejandra. We would like to understand better how is Mexico, a member of GPAI, advancing, a very active member of GPAI actually, advancing AI for the future of work in the country.
Lucia, thank you very much. really a pleasure to be here today. Matthias, hello. And I want to thank a very special thanks to GPAI for inviting me to talk about what we're doing in Mexico. Thank you. Thank you, Said, for inviting me as well. And how is Mexico advancing? Well, it's a very interesting question because I think every country is, this year, the world is towards artificial intelligence. And how we are advancing is very interesting because things have been moving on pretty fast in Mexico in the last month. And what I really think is that AI is not going to take away any job. Are those who know how to use AI that will take them away. So very important is the very important thing here is that people really understand at first what is AI and how is AI going to change their lives and their work. Mexico has a demographic bonus, which is very interesting because the productive age population is now bigger than the non-productive population. And this puts Mexico in a very interesting position, as well as our geopolitical situation. We should be leaders and have been leaders of public policy and in Latin America. So we are now working from the Senate with all the ecosystem. We created an alliance, an artificial intelligence national alliance, and this is a very interesting platform because what the alliance is a multi-stakeholder platform, which mission is to strengthen Mexican artificial intelligence ecosystem. The sectors that are working in this working group are the industry, the economy, the civil society, the government, international organizations, legislators, and regulators. Our objectives are to analyze AI challenges, the benefits and impacts for the responsible creation of public policy, regulation, and governance. And the vision is to harness AI for common good, equity, progress, sustainable development, human rights, environmental protection, democratic values, and social inclusion. We are collaborating with UNAM, which I know Alvaro is here. It's the most recognized university in Mexico, the biggest and most recognized worldwide university in Mexico. And we are collaborating as well with UNESCO and CAP, the development plan, in these working groups. We are, how the alliance is working is that we have lines of action. The first one is the working groups in 6 main themes: public policy and rights, education, capability and labor market, cyber security and risk management, gender inclusion and social responsibility, infrastructure and data, innovation and industry. These themes were, we got these themes in the public survey, and we have been working in this for like 4 months by now. So we have very interesting conclusions on this working group. And what we are going to do with these conclusions of the working group is to propose a strategy for Mexico, public policy, regulation, and a model of governance. The other thing is that we are working in awareness. We are giving webinars and workshops to the population, general population. It's very important because in Mexico now 90% of the population doesn't understand what artificial intelligence is, what's in it for them, what they can do in their work, and in education. I mean, what's in it for them in their life. So this has been also a really revolutionary approach We have been giving these webinars to hundreds of people now, and this has been a success. The other line of action we are working is to document case studies. How in Mexico we can use artificial intelligence in the government as well as in private sector, and as well to detonate the ecosystem, the new businesses using AI. And we are working as well international collaboration. We want to foster a regional collaboration and international collaboration as well for unified regulation, to have a very responsible regulation. So in these working groups, one of the working groups was education capabilities and labor markets. And the conclusions were really interesting, as we have this demographic bonus, and we have one of the biggest number of engineers every year in Mexico. We have 451,000 students graduating from public education system with a bachelor's higher technical education or postgraduate degree. And 40% of these studies are in STEM careers. So one of the conclusions, the key general conclusions of the working groups have been that we need to regulate in terms of ethics, in human rights, and in innovation. As a country, we need to really focus on how we change this vision of being consumers of technology to becoming developers of technology. So we need digital literacy and critical thinking. We need to change our model of education. We need to legislate in terms of education and focus on workers and unions, as well as in teachers and in changing the education model. We don't have a coordination between education levels, so we need to change that. We need to use AI to preserve indigenous languages and cultures. We need to have an ethical incorporation in AI education. We as well need to focus on development of AI in Mexico. The role of civil society and academia is fundamental. We have to change labor dynamics and values with AI. We need to focus on reskilling and upskilling the capabilities of our workers. We know the importance of binding legislation with follow-up. So the model of governance is really important, that we end with a governance that really changes the game in Mexico. We need to focus on educational policy and digital gaps. We in Mexico have yet we don't have an universal inclusion, access to technology. We need to focus on digital ability. It's crucial, the teacher training in digital matters as well. And we need to ensure equity access in educational policies. And for the end of my words, we need to focus on specific needs. We have to develop capabilities in tailored to regional needs. We have a very big working force working in manufacturing. So we need to focus, for example, in upskilling or reskilling this working force. And the governance. We need to establish an autonomous entity specializing in AI to follow up one of the most important things that is the working force. We are now working with syndicates, with the unions, with the teachers, with the universities to make this happen even before the public policy is on track and the regulation is on track, because we know that this is inevitable, and this is going to affect mainly the working force in our country. So one of the main things that we are doing from the Alliance is really working with the different with the different parts that have really big impact in this part in the education and in the working force. And well, the working groups are still going. The alliance is really vibrant in Mexico now. We want in Mexico in the next months we are going to have elections. All the government is going to change. We are going to have presidential elections. Almost 20 governors, 19 governors are going to change. So it's a very important timing in Mexico. The alliance is going to play a very important role because we want to present the candidates a public paper, a policy paper in which the multi-stakeholder view, the multi-stakeholder work can present them which should be the best way from Mexico in a regional approach with an international with the international work that we are doing as well, yeah, which will be the strategy, the best strategy to follow with a public policy, the regulation and a model of governance. So thank you very much for giving me the space to talk about the alliance. It's really important for us to these spaces. The international collaboration is fundamental. And thank you again to Saif, that's the Mexican really active member of the GPAI. And thank you, Alvaro, because UNAM has been key. This university, amazing university, has a special team working in artificial intelligence in several things. The academy is really one of the most important key pieces in Mexico. And we are going to give really, we want to give Mexico really a change with this tool. Finally, AI is a tool. It's an amazing technology that can change the game for countries like Mexico. And this is the view of the Alliance. And experts, hundreds of experts in AI are working for this. Thank you very much for the space.
Thank you, Senadora. This was very, very interesting to listen to, and I actually would like to know more of how we can participate and collaborate from GPAI, and especially from a working group with this alliance, and how you can channel what you're developing, that I think it's a very pioneering work through the region. I believe that Mexico right now is leading by example, and it should be shared among the countries internationally. So for that, we should use this platform that GPAI is in the end. Before we move on to the other part of the world, the other side of the world, and seeing our colleague, Dr. Saif Savage, I would like to give you the floor, Saif, to perhaps present also Alvaro, who is here, and the work that you've been doing with your students in Mexico. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Lucia, and thank you so much, Senator Lagunes, also for this great presentation. It has been a collaboration with government actors and the UNAM University and GPAI. Thank you, Matias and Jan and Edward. And I'll let Alvaro share what we have been doing with GPAI around understanding worker needs in Latin America and then designing generative AI tools for them.
Okay. So this is done. This is good. Thank you.
And thank you again, Senator Lagunes, for also picking up very early in your morning.
Okay, so thank you very much, Saif. I would like to use this opportunity to thank all the GPAI organizers. This has been and is still a magnificent event, one of the largest AI efforts globally to have more knowledge about this amazing technology. I would also like to thank the government of Mexico to be present in this session. I think Mexico is thriving, and not only Mexico, but the entire region of Latin America shares some common values with this part of the world, with India. We both have, as mentioned, a young population, and we also have adequate access and network to internet and to mobile networks. So this makes us early adopters in these technologies. I would like to thank also the National Autonomous University of Mexico and GPAI, Artificial Intelligence Solutions, which is our company. So today I'm thrilled to talk about the future of work. A future where Mexico is not just adapting to change, but thriving on it. And where artificial intelligence, led by companies such as GPAI, are the catalyst of inclusion. We are leading, GPAI and UNAM are leading in Mexico and standing at the intersection of technology and humanity. In collaboration with UNAM students and UNAM student communities, they harness cutting-edge artificial intelligence research to create practical solutions that improve the lives in Latin America and in Mexico. We have a small video prepared. I don't know if we can show it, so you'll have some better understanding on what the student communities at UNAM are doing and also GPAI. Please.
Can you switch to the video, please?
There's audio for the video. I don't know if you can turn the... Oh, okay. Okay, so I'll do the audio, I guess. I'll do the voiceover. Exactly. This is UNAM. We are proud to present the campus. It's the largest university in Latin America. It's public university, and it is some of its students are creating the new technologies that will pave the future of work for tomorrow. Using generative AI for workers, UNAM is creating a large student community. Now we'll see about GPAI. The mission of GPAI and what we are doing with it is taking all the student work from the communities and bringing it to real life solutions that will enhance the life of people in Mexico. We have solutions for many areas, such as e-commerce. This is an e-commerce landing page. With this, this is an AI tutor, and it will help for education. And let's just go with the video. This is our main, actually, product right now. It's an accent neutralizer that will help to reduce the walls of communication between people from countries whose first language is not English. So, thanks for that video. I'm sorry I had to make the playback for the last minute, but I'm getting better at improvising now. UNAM researchers are unseen heroes here. They push the boundaries of artificial intelligence knowledge. Want GPAI takes their research and transforms it into solutions that empower the workforce. Picture this: personalized learning programs that adapt to individual needs, leveling the playing field for everyone. This is creating inclusion. This is democratizing artificial intelligence. GPAI, inspired by the spirit of innovation, also address bias in hiring through artificial intelligence. By leveraging UNAM's research, they create tools to ensure fair recruitment, fostering diversity in workplaces, and creating a more dynamic and innovative environment. In essence, the future of work in Mexico has championed by GPAI and UNAM. It's about inclusivity. It's about creating a workplace that not only embraces technological advancement, but also reflects the diverse tapestry of its population. As we navigate this future, let's remember the UNAM student communities driving the research and GPAI transforming it into practical solutions. Together, they embody the spirit of innovation, creating a future where artificial intelligence isn't just about technology. It's about empowering every individual to thrive. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alvaro. Great presentation and great improvisation. Thank you.
Thanks for coming here, Alvaro. You're new to the working group. Thanks for coming here. It was great meeting you. Thank you. From Mexico to the other side, and we're very glad to have Professor Yuko Harayama with us. Hello, Yuko. Good to see you again. I think Yuko has been our first co-chair, and I think she has really she's one of the mothers of the idea of GPAI. In fact, I think she has really been together with GPAI from the very beginning. And I think also the idea of the students community is coming from you. I remember when you said we are caring about the future of work, so we need also involve the future workers. And maybe you can explain to us a little bit what was your main idea when you came up with the students community, and Japan was the first students community, I think. Maybe you can also explain a little bit or tell us a little bit about the advancements in Japan.
Thank you very much, Matthias, and good evening from Tokyo. It is from the beginning based on the objective of GPAI to bridge the gap between theory and practice, and also to prepare the future workforce. These two lines was really guiding us. And what we tried to do from the beginning in 2010, we wanted to know what's happening in the workplace with the deployment of AI. So the first idea was really making some survey, but at the same time to investigate on the ground and visiting companies and interviewing them. So combining with the idea of preparing the future workforce, we came up with the idea to engage future workforce, that is present generation of students in this endeavor. So that was a starting point. And thanks to the initiative of Ian Ferguson, who led the first project, AI observation platform since 2021, we have been able to create a student community together with the status of GPAI junior investigator. So allowing students to be really a part of our activity of a working group of future work. And the task to them was collecting use cases at workplace. And the idea was not just focusing on some countries, but enlarging the coverage. And of course, at the beginning, it was from France, French students, and others. And the Japanese community, we had this idea with my colleague, Alisa Emma. She is also the member of the working group. And it was so natural that following Young's initiative, to constitute a Japan student community. And we are very happy to have these developments now with the SAIF, to have Mexican student community. And the idea from the beginning was that getting information on the ground from the companies in several countries, but also make constituting gathering of different community. That means from the first community, second one, the Japanese one, and the forthcoming Mexican one. And the idea is to make them a kind of alumni association. And also from the Japanese perspective, we are learning now for the third year. So we have among different generation of students, 3 generations that we make some kind of alumni association. What was unique in the Japanese context that we have set up management team and beside the research team. And we try to gather students with different backgrounds, not only from the information technology engineering, but also from social science and the humanities. So the idea was making sure that we have this diverse student community interacting each other. And to run this project, we provide to the students the driving force for that. So they are taking action to choose target sectors and companies, and really surveying in the Japanese context. And also we are using the common question to GPAI survey, but additionally, Japanese students, they have been developing their own question according to their interest. So by the end, what happened that we are now very comfortable with running this project. And when we have already experienced for the first year, we have received quite good feedback from the company interviews, because they understood that not only providing to us information on their activities and their experiences, but they understood the educational aspect of this enterprise. And they responded with really openness and making effort for communication and facilitating building rapport with the students. And from the student side, it became AI is any more kind of abstract terms, but within a real context, and really opportunity to visit companies on the ground, interacting with the responsible and those working with AI. And by the end, it's increased the interest in AI in the future activities. So we were, I would say, we are becoming successful in the way to engage students, as well as not only for the just interviewing companies, but to have more interest to better understand and the challenge with AI in the future. So that is the situation. And we started with a small number of universities. And then we have been able to having more university engaged. And now we have many more universities covering a different area activities with AI. And we continue to work with a campaign of Community 2023. So I stop here to just thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Yuko. Greetings to Tokyo, and next time we meet again in person.
Hope so.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. From one of our first projects to one of our main focus areas of the next year, it's generative AI is in the very focus of many of our new initiatives. And one of it is the AI data supply chain. And we had a panel yesterday. Lucia, maybe you want to summarize a little bit about it.
We could ask ChatGPT to do that too. But yeah, we had a very interesting presentation yesterday, and we have a very interesting project in our website and GPAI's website, where we explain the first of its kind benchmark against this index that the Oxford Internet Institute has developed to assess whether the conditions of the workers behind AI are fair or not. And we had also the luck to have one of the leading companies participating and opening up to this scrutiny and actually committing to improving their operations after what was showed or discovered through this audit, social audit that the team conducted. And this has opened a whole new line of work in our working group related to the humans behind this fancy AI that we all are embracing, and that we usually not only not see, but we don't know about their working conditions. And this, with no doubt, will be one of the main lines of work that we will be conducting in a working group, and with a special focus in the region of Latin America. And before we go to Argentina, to another project that we will be also performing there, I don't know, Matthias, if you would like to welcome Mark, that is here with us already.
Hi, Mark. We've met this morning already, so thanks for having you again. You will be leading the new project on the impact of generative AI on knowledge work especially. It will be mainly about professionals in the health sector. Can you explain a little bit about the project and why you selected the healthcare professionals as your first focus?
Yeah, sure. And thank you for having me again. And maybe also thank you for the audience for still being here at this late hour. I know it's almost dinner, and we're all looking forward to that. But I think it's smart that you're here, because I think there's a lot of talk about AI being disruptive and transformative, but if it will transform our society, the labor market is where this will happen mostly, right? So understanding how AI changes work is essential to understanding what the societal impacts are. So I'm going to start a little bit abstract and then zoom in on the project, if you will. I lead a group. We've been researching the impact of AI on work for 7 years now, and what strikes with me mostly is the enormous vastness of stuff that we still don't know. What we do know is that the impact it will have on work differs strongly by occupation, so it will impact different occupations differently, and the impact likely will be cross-nationally different. So if you want to understand how AI impacts work, you want to study it in a cross-national way, and you want to study it for each occupation differently. So this brings me to the professions. What makes the professions super interesting is that they have a number of tasks that are fundamentally probably very well susceptible to AI, very much language-based, so very well susceptible to generative AI. And at the same time, they also have a number of tasks that are difficult to automate because they have a very low tolerance for error. There are ethical concerns. If you make a mistake as a doctor, for example, that's a huge thing, right? If we make mistakes as researchers, that means that I don't publish a paper or I have to retract it. But if you make a mistake as a GP, people might actually die. So that's an issue. And then there's this huge motivation to do it because there's a huge pressure on the healthcare system. In most countries, we have a shortage of doctors and nurses. And so if we figure out how we can use Gen AI to make the work of general practitioners or other medical professionals more efficient and more effective, then I guess we do a huge service to society, and also at the same time gain knowledge about the more general question as to how AI changes tasks in different professions. So what we're going to do is this. We're going to do lab experiments in 3 different countries, in the Netherlands, in Tanzania, and in Indonesia, identical experiments, RCTs with a treatment group and a control group, and a treatment. And the treatment will be, so the experiment will present general practitioners with case studies of fictional patients who present some of the symptoms that they experience as you would in a normal practice. And then we ask the general practitioners for an hour to assess these, to do an anamnesis, to come up with a diagnosis and to prescribe treatment. We know what the right answer will be, so we know the ground truth. Half of them will work with a Gen AI and the other half will not. That's the basic setup of the experiment. It's a little bit more complex than this, but this is, I guess, intuitively what we're going to do. And then the outcome will teach us a little bit about how this profession, how professionals in this profession might use their expert knowledge in combination with the AI to come up with better predictions. At least that's the hypothesis. Maybe they can do it faster, maybe they need less training. Well, we don't know, but we will know after this experiment, and we also will know the importance of the national context, institutional differences, cultural differences, developmental differences that might play a role. We'll probably be the first to quantify that in a convincing way. So that's the setup of the experiment. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Today we heard from government representatives that this is one of their main interests, so I think they will be looking forward these results. I know that the senator has something to say in 1 minute before leaving. Is that correct, Senadora?
Yes, thank you. Yes, just I would love to say that Mexico will be honored to have the next GPAI meeting in Mexico. I just wanted to say this, and it will be amazing to host you all here in Mexico City. I will begin, if this is right and we can talk about this, I will begin talks with the Mexican government so we can organize the event here next year.
Well, you have our vote for sure. Thank you so much for that offer, and we will be going next year. Thank you so much for those news. Great news. Thank you. And thank you for participating.
Thank you all.
Bye. So I think, sorry, what's going on? Okay. Do you have a follow-up question for Mark? Or
No,
I know we are late, but
the closer we get to dinner, we should try to keep our answers shorter. And maybe, is there any questions or comments from the audience with regards to the project presented by Mark?
But because we have Fernando also from Argentina really waiting to participate. Fernando is one of our key members of the working group. He has always a very interesting perspectives about this AI revolution. Actually, we always talk about, and you were saying it before, that generative AI improves productivity and employability, but this may happen in some regions, not in all. And we give for granted sometimes that this is homogeneous and across countries. Fernando, do you think that, or do you feel that this is what will happen in Latin America? How do you see this in the near future affecting your country? And thank you for joining as well.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me virtually. Well, no, actually, I'm a little bit reluctant to embrace these optimistic scenarios, at least without a grain of salt. What we are seeing in our region is kind of a race to cut labor-associated costs as much as possible, kind of a race to the bottom. So when I see all these studies that do what I think is very interesting, separating those positions that are susceptible to be replaced and those that will have a productivity gain. Well, I'm wondering if these productivity gains will not later result in some workers being left over, because if in a position you have two workers and one gets to double its productivity, is there still a place for the other? As an example, think of what had happened with the secretaries in the 50s. They had to do all this typewriting, and if they share a calendar with a boss, this was a physical task, and to make an appointment they had to make a phone call and actually try to get in touch with the other person. Well, now we have a lot of technology that increases a secretary productivity, right? So do they have more free time? Are they paid better? so they increase the qualifications, right? But does this give them, an advantage in the labor market, or this increase in qualification has become a requirement for them to give their job? Actually, I think this is what had happened, right? So I'm a little bit concerned. You might have seen there are a lot of studies, the Goldman Sachs is one of them, that tries to quantify the impact in each country, and some Latin American countries, such as mine, well, we see a 20 to 25 impact in our labor market. So I see this as really concerning.
And what are your plans for next year? Because you will be leading a very relevant project in this area. What's the vision that you have?
Well, one of the things that we want to do is to measure actually what is actually happening with generative AI in terms of wages and of number of posts. You know, in Latin America, we have a lot of experience with economic reconversions, and those economic reconversions, you always hear that when there's something changing in the economy, what you have to do is retrain, upskill workers, train the workers. Well, we already had a lot of that in the 90s, founded by international agencies, like the World Bank and such. And studies have been done to try to assess what happened with those workers. And the results are frankly negative. What we know from the past experiences is that most of these plans do not work at all when you compare to a control group. And when they do, for instance, one of what is actually had been measured scientifically, with a control group, and has been shown to work, the percentage of increase of chance of finding a job from the people that were going through the training has been 3.6 percentage point in average compared to the control group. Not a huge improvement, right? In Argentina, we also had in the last few years a very extensive program trying to train young people to become programmers. And I think this experience is really relevant, because what we are seeing with Gen AI means that repetitive work will be automated and people will have to move more to the technological sector, right? So this was a plan aimed to train 1,000 programmers, and it was aimed for people with having finished high school, providing 8 months of training. 8 months of training, right? It was offered in a lot of posts in the country. It was really extensive, and during the 4 years, more than around 150,000 people enrolled, but the success rate, the graduation rate of the program was 1.5%. And there are known statistics of people actually employed. The plan was devised by the government with the Argentinian Chamber of Software Companies. So in this case, what was actually taught was what software companies said we need, right? So the factor of, maybe what was taught during the training is not what they needed can be ruled out. The companies decided what was needed to be taught and how it was needed to be taught. Nevertheless, they did not manage to hire the outcome of the plan. So, when we think that the Gen AI revolution, the effect on the labor market can be solved with training, I will ask us to be a little caution about that, because this is not sustained on the evidence we have.
Yeah. If I can, because I fully understand what you say, Fernando, and I can support that very much also from my own experience. But this is exactly the conversation that we should be having right now, because these things So this technology will change the way we work all across the economy, all across the labor market. And when we first started to show this, and it's not just us, but you get into discussions with policymakers in Brussels or in The Hague or in Berlin, and then the discussion ended always with the assertion, but then we're going to reskill and upskill the labor market, and that'll be that. As if that's the end to the story, and it's the beginning of and this is what you're signaling as well, Fernando, this is the beginning of a whole new question. How do you do that? How do you reach the most vulnerable ones? How do you retrain people who've had difficulties training in the first place? And I see different approaches in different countries, some of them more successful than others, but the question should be, how do you do this? How do you do it well? And how do you do it in a way that that is successful? And how do we keep also the most vulnerable people on board? And then sometimes an experiment fails, but then you also learn how not to do it, I guess. It's a hugely expensive thing, I understand, but it's better than trying to duck the issue. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's a comment more than a question, indeed.
Many thanks for these thoughtful comments, and I think your considerations are well understood, but nevertheless, I think you raised the questions. We want to address those questions also in our working group, and this is exactly the topic for the next project. Shadrach, you are already ready to present your project. It's about AI literacy for factory workers. I think it's also a very important group of workers. Maybe sometimes come to the stage, please. So Shadrach, your project is about developing and implementing an AI curriculum for factory workers. Can you tell us a little bit more about your project? Maybe can you also touch those concerns that we have heard from Fernando and Mark? What are the objectives, and what are you doing in the project?
Thank you, Matthias. Thank you, the working group. At large, the working group has made it possible for us to conceive a project of this kind. And I would also mention that the Montreal workshop was an eye-opener for us because there we all flagged together as a community that AI literacy and AI awareness for the larger community is quite important. I've just come from another room where we launched AI for school teachers, AI literacy for school teachers, which is also an inspiration of this working group. So we believe that through this working group, through many of our projects, we would be in a position to provide kind of 360-degree view of many of the challenges facing the world of future of work. So that said, the project that we have initiated, actually the research has commenced in the month of November, although in the work plan 2024 we have included this as one of the activities. I am hopeful that the Executive Council would approve of this project so that we can designate this as a GPAI project. So the idea is to develop an AI literacy curriculum which would speak to the concerns of the factory workers in a variety of sectors, manufacturing to construction to home work to many others. To begin with, experimenting this idea in India in partnership with the government and also the industry in a place called Gurgaon, which is not very far away, about 60 kilometers from the capital city, in a cluster of industries where we would be in a position to discuss with the employer organizations, the workers themselves, and develop a participatory curriculum that is forward-looking, that would enable people in the probably in the automotive sector. We have not decided which sector that we should look into, but again, thanks to Aurelie this morning, Edward and Aurelie put this project as part of the pitch fest this morning. And when I pitched this particular project, there was this person from JICA, the Japanese International Organization. He came forward and said he would facilitate this work in a factory called the Maruti Suzuki factory in Gurgaon, where automobiles are produced. So he said, it would be possible for Japan to initiate this thought process with Suzuki. So it would be quite possible that if all works well, we may work with the management there in terms of discussing their own future direction as to how, as an automobile company, they are progressing to the next stage of incorporating AI in their practice. And in the event of doing this, what would happen to the current workers, particularly those who are doing the repetitive jobs, whose jobs are at risk? So is there a possibility, together with the employer organization, that we could develop a curriculum and reskill them? So we are looking at a sample of 3,000 people to experiment this idea in a couple of sectors: manufacturing, automobiles, and perhaps homework. So these three sectors to see how we can fine-tune them to the future world of work. And the idea is to create a model, not necessarily be involved in developing different sets of curriculum, but a model that would work for us to replicate, scale up in others. I believe that the International Development Research Center Canada and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation both are interested in steering this project forward, provided we have a model, replicable model. So I would be greatly served as a co-lead of this project, that all our members of the Future of Working Group would advise this project in terms of getting the model right, getting the whole process right. And in this case, our colleague from Argentina, Mexico, and other places would also be quite instrumental, because some of the concerns are common in these countries. So if we could all come together and help us to do this modeling right, then it would become a good offering to the global community by GPAI.
To the world, to the to the common good. Yes, I don't know if, Fernando, do you want to say something else after what Shadrach has shared with us?
Actually, I would like to address what Mark has said. I would invite everybody that when we hear that the solution is retraining, let's shift the burden of the proof. So whenever somebody claims that whatever is going to happen in the job market is going to be solved with upskilling or retraining, I will ask them to provide evidence that this is feasible, because otherwise we are not taking the issue scientifically. And also, and I understand this is challenging, because if we don't do retraining, what are we going to do? Well, something similar has happened to humanity recently with CRISPR, the technology to alter genes, to cut genes. And we decided that no matter how promising it was strictly regulated and mostly forbidden. So I will ask us to address this with an open mind, and instead of thinking that something is inevitably, because everybody's saying that it has to be, there's always another way of thinking at the issue.
As a follow-up question, Fernando, now that you say this, do you feel that in the debate, because nowadays we're talking a lot about the governance of AI, the global governance of AI, we have lots of sessions on responsible AI, many fora discussing this topic, and everyone agrees on this is going to impact the labor market, this is going to impact the workforce and people. But reskill and upskill. how do you think they should cover this debate or this multidimension reality of the impact of technology, of AI, more particularly in the global governance AI agenda?
Well, for instance, most people from the north are used to thinking about, factories where they build cars, mostly automated, right? This is how they work in industrialized countries. Well, this is not how they work in the south of the world. Why? Because unions have struggled to sustain the workers there. And we don't see factories losing money either. Car manufacturers are still, they still run a very healthy, very profitable business. And all in all, we can say this is better for society because they are raising a lot of money and workers still have well-paid jobs. So this is why I'm saying that there's not only one way to consider the issue. And I think that we should be embracing this regulatory debate with a more open-minded.
Fernando, we have a comment here in the room.
Hi, I'm Ali. I'm from the Responsible AI Working Group, and it's incredibly refreshing to hear an actual dispute within the working party. Essentially, here there is a disagreement of opinion. There's you can hear it. And in AI, generally, there's enormous disagreement. There are people who are very keen, there are people who want to regulate, there are evangelists, and there are people who are worried. And it's incredible that these debates don't seem to surface very often within GPAI. Quite remarkable. Like in my working group, for instance, it's about responsible use of AI, and everyone is focusing on that side of it. And I'm wondering whether the structure of the working groups prevents this kind of actual, proper discussion. So, for instance, in the innovation and commercialization working group, everyone is pretty gung-ho about AI. In my one, everyone's worried about it. I'm generalizing a bit here. But in the future of work, it seems like you have representatives from both of these constituencies, which is a wonderful thing. So I'm just stepping back a little bit and saying maybe there needs to be more representation within our discussions, in our working groups, in our projects, of these actual discussions and disputes, which we see everywhere in discussions about AI, between people who are very worried and who are looking to regulate and try and change the direction of AI or prevent certain things, and between people who are extremely evangelical and want to see how things are going to be made better and how everyone's lives are going to be improved. And so it's just it's like an organizational point here. Maybe we need to make sure and represent these debates better within the structure of the working groups. So I don't really, I'm not voicing a position on the discussion, but it's nice to see the discussion. That's my point.
This is a great observation. Thank you. And I think, Fernando, it's really a pity that you cannot be with us for the dinner, because I would really like to challenge your opinion and discuss with you tonight. But I think this is not the place here in this session. Any other comments, questions?
I'm part of this working group, but I've joined recently. So 2 comments. One is that I have delivered a lot of AI solutions in the industry, and I'm a first-hand observer of work displacement. And I can say that Fernando is very realist when he says that it's easy to say that there is upskilling, but ultimately the goal of AI in corporate world is to save cost and gain efficiency, and there is no hiding it, and it will not change. And also we need to understand that that generation which suffers from this displacement, you cannot suddenly train a warehouse worker to become a programmer. That won't happen. If it happens, he will find it difficult to get hired. In fact, to make a normal programmer, an AI programmer itself is a difficult task. So we are talking of several levels of difficulty. And for that project, I want to make a suggestion that one of the biggest consumers of AI are the call centers who handle your mobile plans or your bank plans, and chatbots are completely targeted at cutting down those call centers. So if a project wants to consider future of work as work displacement study, I think we should definitely go for call centers, because there we will find out what is actual work displacement and what happens to that to the people who get displaced. Is there an effort to upskill them, or do companies actually want to gain their investment in AI?
Absolutely, and that is part of the project that Fernando will be leading next year. Thank you for that comment. And what is more important is that the workers don't end up losing their income, and it's a race to the bottom in this selling of technological solutions or technological solutionism, and when they promise to give you co-pilots, and then you end up, making less money and having more competitors. So absolutely, that's what we want to achieve in our group, really grasping all the perspectives from the different realities of the different countries across the world, and then bringing forward solutions, or at least proposals for those who decide in the world to do something good for the majority. Alvaro, yes, please.
Yes, I just like to add something about what you just mentioned. We are working specifically at our company to create a solution that is directly working with call centers. And of course, in many areas, I totally agree with you that there's going to be a job displacement. But in some cases, for example, our solution is assisting more than 8,000 people working in Guatemala to neutralize their accent, so they can communicate more efficiently with people from other countries in English. So this is very important, because this is democratizing artificial intelligence, and it's lowering the educational barriers that in an unequal society such as Latin America we have, so that these people are not really that well educated in English, and with these kind of tools and these technologies, they are able to have a better job than otherwise wouldn't be possible 3 years before. So yeah, while on the one hand there will be some job displacement, of course, another opportunity will be created. So we'll just have to see what's happening in the near future. Thank you.
You get a microphone. 1 second.
Hi, I'm Mike. I'm also from the Responsible AI group, but I'm going to come across with a slightly different opinion than Ali, I think. So, for me, one of the visions of the future of work in AI is to help in jobs where scale is important, and AI can help us provide scale without destructive practices. So I'm thinking things like dredging the seabed for shellfish, forestry. So a lot of those practices are destructive because we just can't get the volume with people doing it. So, but instead, if we can get the volume with AI and machines doing it, with them being trained or supervised by people, then we can potentially do things much less destructively. So we can do precision harvesting of shellfish, we can do precision picking of trees, we can do precision forestry, these sorts of things. So in there, I think that AI is really useful and actually can help save the planet. It will be replacing workers, but those workers could potentially then go and train those machines. And I really like what Fernando said in terms of if we don't need to replace people, let's not replace them. And so you could see that it's only places where there's the lack of volume. And another example we were using it is for virtual safety officers in facilities like a sawmill. In that case, you usually don't have someone watching every single place in that sawmill to make sure it's safe, but with AI you can do that. And so there's lots of places, I think, in the future of work where AI can be really useful, can help. I think you talked about the 3Ds earlier today. dirty, dangerous, and the other one I don't remember. Difficult, yep. So I think we want to be really careful not to throw the benefits of AI out, but I really like what Fernando said, is let's consider, is AI helping, is it beneficial? And in some cases the retraining can be, you can actually train the machines to do the jobs at scale and volume, and then you can move back to a more monitoring or surveillance role. And then someone else said, well, AI will replace that at some point, but then we get to Fernando's point where, but it doesn't need to, so we don't need to put AI in place there. So I'm just interested to hear your comments about, sometimes I feel like we can be quite negative about AI in the future of work, but actually I see there's lots of potential to help save the planet and actually help, you know, keep people safe.
Yeah, I can answer something there. I think that we should try to be less about emotions, about being positive or negative or scared or very happy about it, and more looking into empirical research and doing the experiments that Mark was mentioning, and really going through the facts and the different realities with all its nuances, because this is a debate that you cannot clear in a sentence, and you cannot say it's positive, it's negative, it's better, it's worse. It depends. It really depends on so many things, and so many contexts, and so many types of AI applications, environments, realities, and also the need, because it might be very positive, but as it has been mentioned, is it really needed? Is it responding to a need, to a social need, or are we just pushing this technology towards the society or towards workers or towards people because we think like that?
But if we don't use it, we destroy the system.
But the thing is that it's not black or white. It's not using it or not using it. It's like, let's work globally in empirical research and in really understanding the applications to come up with more nuances and more nuanced analysis and more complex questions to complex answers to complex questions, I would say.
Yeah, but on the other hand, I totally agree with what you're saying, but
no.
the problem with research is that you can only research what you have already, and it's about the future of work, and it's very difficult to research into the future. So I think job profiles will change. So I think it's not our main target to protect jobs. Our main target should be protect people and help them increase their employability. And this is again something about helping them gain new competences and skills, and maybe it's also about a question of how can we design new things. This can also be addressed by research, but I think for that purpose we would also need new methods for research. This is also a big topic, a big interest of mine as well, especially for the future of work, and I think this is there's a lot of work to be done. Maybe we can talk about this also during the dinner.
Matthias is only thinking of dinner.
Yeah. I've just here we have another comment, and we have only 2 minutes.
Okay, I try to be brief. Well, Fernando, it was really interesting to listening to your points, and I think it gives you food for thought, definitely, especially for a person like me. I'm a techno-optimist usually, but I think that we have this thinking pattern that basically technical revolutions, they destroy jobs, but they usually create more than they destroy. And I've seen, anecdotal data related to at least to 2 companies that are quite aggressively investing in autonomous operations. One is our pet company, Amazon, that everybody from future of work can use as a shooting target. Another was the tier 1 company from the automotive sector, and they have been quite aggressively investing in robotization, but they also net. The value of the job number balance was positive. Yeah? So they created more jobs than possibly they destroyed automating tasks that have been so far delivered by humans. And basically how this happened, in my opinion, it's usually by becoming more competitive and getting more business and opening new factories, for example, that basically were able to employ new people. And I would like to have your thoughts about how do you think this collective approach to protection, this protective approach to modernization of working factories, protection of jobs, does it affect the competitiveness, the capability to deliver, for example, competitive products? Yes, competitive through innovation rather than low cost, or not? I mean, that is something that really interests me.
But before Fernando chips in, what is the purpose of being competitive? It's like having more purchase power, and then having better life for your population.
As a former business person, I had this mindset that basically, if you want a company that is alive, that provides a place for growth, it needs to grow itself. Yeah, and this is more important than actually the profits you generate or you take to your own
Yeah, I understand that perspective, and I hear it. And as an economist, I think that sometimes we need to bring new perspectives to an equation, because we end up discussing very technical aspects and very numerical elements, and we don't consider what is the end goal of all of it. What is the end goal of being more productive, more having economic growth? What is the goal? Is it making richer a guy, or is it making richer a country? And how can you make a country richer if you are not able to provide them with work? So yes, I think that is a dichotomy that at some point we need to take into account.
Yes, but this is the generally complex question and complex answer. It's a this type of question about life, universe, and everything. And as all we know, the answer is 42. But in this complex world, I would really like to hear Fernando's views, because you clearly come from a different world than me, for example. Yes, we started as a poor country, but we are part of a rich north, to say so, yes, in Poland. But
yes, if I may chip in, first of all, yes, I agree with some of the things that people said. Not every AI is the same, and I applaud the thing trying to help us catch the fish that we need. I don't know the details of that industry, but I suspect this is not displacing a lot of work, and this is something, there's a need, right, to improve for the health of the planet. There's a need to catch the right fish. Replacing call center workers, there's not a need there. Right? I mean, call center owners are rich, people are having their jobs, so we will have to differentiate, and I might have said AI in general, but I want to make clear that there are certain sectors that need to be treated differently. Regarding the more broader question, I will not answer it, but I will give you some hints of where I'm coming from. If you look at traditional economical wisdom, you might consider that chocolate has a price, but this price is based on a lot of, the people that produce the chocolate in Africa are not able to afford that, right? People that are producing the chocolate are not able to afford their own product. So there's nothing natural there. And, we can buy our cell phones for a given price, but they are made of some specific materials that also being produced by people that are not able to afford the same product. So again, there's nothing natural there, and this idea of always be more competitive, well, it has to be taken not with a grain of salt, but with a huge bottle of salt. I would recommend to understand where my perspective is coming. I would recommend everybody this book from the Korean economist, whose name I fail to remember again and again. That is called "Kicking the Ladder." That's basically saying that some economies and as a consequence, some companies on those economies can be competitive because they've been helped with huge, very tight protective measures for a long time. So in the global economy, there's no way that our companies are going to be able to compete if we are not given the same protections. I will leave it there because it's a really deep topic.
Always with our sessions, the problems get bigger the longer we discuss. So I think we should really close the session now. Many thanks for all your interesting comments and remarks. I think it was great to having you all here, and I wish you a nice evening, and maybe we see again tomorrow.
Thank you all.
Good luck with the dinner.
Gracias.